Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Black Waves. I'm your DMGM storyteller, whichever you would like to call me, Forgotten Dreams, and I am joined by a lovely cast of people, starting with Wade.
Hello, I'm Wade. I will be playing your Kobold Ranger Desh with my loyal war beast Nash.
Oh. Next up, we have Senna.
Hello, I'm Ellen. I play Senna Thunderhall, a half-elf bard slash
All right.
cleric.
They did not get confused this week. Very good, very good. Last but not least, Sasha.
Hi, I am Cyber Mama, and I'm playing Sasha Oak River, which is a failing swashbuckler.
Oh. All right. With the person who took notes last time, that being 3 sentences, why don't you tell us what happened last time on the Black Waves?
All right, last time on the Black Waves, we had just finished a massive battle, and we decided to search the bodies, and we found a lot of stuff, and we proceeded to get the heck out of Dodge, basically, and try to move on with our mounts. We ended up trekking through the wilderness after the beach. Thankfully, passed around an area where some very frightening looking large spiders would have been, and found a decent area where we could camp for the night. We put out our invisible tents and ended up with a pretty calm, silent night, even though there were a few things that each of us saw in the distance that looked quite threatening.
Do you remember what those things were?
One was a very large spider. One seemed to be some sort of earth elemental. And I think the other was some sort of shape where we didn't really quite know what it was.
Didn't we see dinosaurs, or did I make that up in my head?
Some dinosaurs.
Yeah, there's the possibility that it could have been like some sort of dinosaur.
Maybe.
When we had our munchy crunchy in the morning, we got up and packed everything up and moved on our way. We skirted around a lake-like area that obviously had huge crocodiles that would have eaten us alive. So we went around that and went through some underbrush and some densely wooded area, and finally came out into a clearing. But unfortunately, in that clearing further off, there is a whole bunch of kobolds and other creatures stripping a few dead dinosaurs. And that's where we're currently at, wondering whether or not we should go around this and stay clear of the natives, or what we should do, period.
And that is where we pick up as the 3 of you on your mounts are sitting at the edge of the tree line before this clearing in the forest. You could, of course, go around and continue with the trees. Either way, the clearance itself is probably a good, I'd put it at 250 to 300 feet across. But you could skirt around, most certainly. You can see roughly about 50 kobolds in total, sort of making their way around, large stone golems carrying large carts that are being stacked high with steaming hot meat from the various different creatures that are being butchered at this moment. What would the party like to do?
Getting a feel for it, is our chosen path like right through them right now?
Currently.
Hmm. I'd be leaning towards give them their distance and move around them.
Yeah, I agree. We should skirt around and try to not be detected.
Okay.
I don't think we should mix with the locals.
All right. No mixing with the locals, as they say. So, go ahead and whoever is leading the party, make me a survival check for the fastest route of getting around this group of people without attracting attention.
Eh. Fucking hell, great.
Oh,
It's gonna be that kind of
no.
night.
Okay.
Clearly, the fastest way through is to go through the middle. But,
Yeah.
you could just skirt the very edge. You know, shave some time off.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's our best bet, I guess.
All right. Go ahead and
Worst
everybody
comes
make
to
me stealth
worst, I'll have
checks. That includes Nash.
42.
Are you
Okay.
gonna pass without a trace us?
That's what I was gonna do.
All right. Senna, that becomes a 25.
Okay.
Sasha, that becomes a 29. Desh, that becomes a 21.
And then Nash.
Nash is a straight 20. All right, not bad, not bad at all. Very, very tough numbers to beat. And I'm just gonna make 3 checks for them. So we're gonna have stone giants, or not the stone giants, the stone golems first. Nope. Then we're going to have Kobold Group 1, who are those guys, and then Group 2, which is at a +4. But despite, sort of sticking very close to the edge of the forest and skirting around, as this is the fastest but least troublesome path that Desh kind of points out to all of you, you all manage to stay relatively well hidden in the edges of the forest, not really silhouetting yourself too hard. In fact, the few creatures that do occasionally look off in your direction as you're trekking seem to be paying attention to something else entirely. Until eventually you pass that clearance and you're back in the deep, dark forest. You, at this point in the day, it's still early morning. I'd say it's maybe about 10:35 a.m. However, you can already begin to see that the canopy is so thick in this portion of the forest that there are just perfect circles that sort of dot the forest bed all around you, of where the light's just barely able to peek through the canopy.
I'm just keeping an eye out, not only around us but above us and around in the tree line.
Okay, make me perception
sure.
checks.
Nothing is really looking.
17, not bad, not bad. 13, and not so well.
Gaze out. Nope, it's gonna be a terrible night for Desh.
All right. Nash? Okay, all right, okay. So, while Sasha and Desh are sort of fascinated by the few snakes that are hanging loosely off a couple of the trees here and there, much more smaller, many of them of the anaconda family in this area of the forest, and they're very, very spaced out. You know, it's one every 30 or 40 trees or so. A couple of small spider webs intermixed between a couple of the canopies that have, very, very small spiders. A few black widows, a few tarantulas here and there. That's the gist of what Desh and Cinna see, aside from the one roving buck who randomly runs past, completely albino as well. Cinna, you notice all these things as well, but you also notice there's this light sound that comes above the canopy. And the sound happens about 3 times, And briefly, you can see the path ahead of you of the various different circles that dot the ground that are the light peeking through the canopy. Some of them are shadowed out for a couple of moments, but it's going... The shadow is traveling from south to north.
Okay. I will point this out to everyone else, of course.
Right. Make note of it.
At this point in your travels, you're maybe a good 30 minutes from that clearing that you had left not too long ago, when you all hear this loud gust of wind begin to come from your backsides, and you can then feel it pressing against you for a second as this whoosh overtakes you, and there's a sound of two loud thuds far behind you.
Peek behind me to see what's back there.
You can only see forest from here.
Maybe we should speed up a little bit.
You feel the ground shake a few times, almost in the rhythm of one's movement.
That doesn't sound good, guys.
Eventually,
There's a lot.
the shaking lessens after another 10 minutes to the point where you can no longer feel it.
All right. Well, keep pressing on. Just sooner we're done here, the sooner we can get away from this danger and weirdness.
Continue moving forward, and it's just at this point it becomes tedious hour after hour, total of 3 hours of just nothing but trees that begin to sort of blend and become similar as you go by them, and there's the odd clearing here or there that's very small in comparison to the one that you passed initially. Only 10 or 20 feet here or there. Maybe another survival check for Desh.
Oh, great.
So you continue onward, Desh really just following to the T almost. The direction that he can feel the pull as you get closer and closer to the mountains that you cannot see at this point. And for those 3 hours, it's pretty peaceful. Go ahead and everybody make me another round of perception checks.
I perceive all.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. So, Desh and Nash don't know where it comes from. Sasha, you hear behind you some ways, maybe a good 80 feet. You're not sure exactly from where behind you. But Cinna, you pinpointed exactly the location that a sound suddenly erupts from. And let me pull up that sound for everybody. There it is. That's all you hear.
Great.
Not good.
And Cinna, as you are looking back there, you, just for the briefest of moments, catch a glimpse of something so well camouflaged you thought it wasn't there for the first few seconds. And you thought you were just staring at more forest until finally you notice that there is a shimmer in some of the beams of light that are hitting the ground far back there, 60 feet or so. Something is stalking you.
Great. All right.
Rough general shape and size. Reptilian? Probably in the gargantuan area.
Oh my.
Okay, I will very calmly tell my companions of this wonderful news of what's happening.
Well, back if it's
Alright,
blending in.
It's not good.
Nope.
It hasn't gotten any closer at this point, Senna. But it's back there, watching.
I'm gonna get my sword ready. Also, make sure that those poison arrows with the longbow is adjusted so I can grab them easily.
Okay.
As I adjust myself on my end.
You continue moving along, keeping an eye out for this creature, waiting at any moment for it to pounce. An hour passes. It still hasn't pounced. It's just hanging back there. Desh and Sasha make me... Or sorry, no, Desh and Nash make me another perception check. Okay. Okay, better. More alert now. The two of you sort of keep your heads on a swivel at the constant, along with everyone else. Senna still using your natural 2025. When you bring your head around to pay attention to where you're going and make sure you're following Dash, you notice something on the left corner of your eye. And Dash and Sasha and Nash, you all notice out of the corner of your left eye something, a light green with black spots, sort of just in the background, 60 feet as well, reptilian as well. And when you all look over in that direction, you can see that there is a large wooden spike going through a Triceratops's head that's just sitting there in the middle of the forest. And Senna, when you register that, you then look back towards the creature that you saw stalking you earlier, and it's not there anymore.
Boy.
I don't know whether or not to be happy or more nervous.
Another minute or so along in your journey, and quite clearly in the path that you're headed, there is another spike in the ground, much smaller. It holds on at the head of a raptor.
Oh boy.
Past that, another 30 feet is the head of Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus, my bad.
Are these all fresh kills?
The Stegosaurus looks to be the oldest of the bunch. Most of the flesh has sort of decayed off, and only half of its face still holds bits of dripping wet, disgustingly, sort of bulged out fleshy bits on it. The rest of it is sort of a picked clean by nature's insects half skull. The raptor head that you passed a little bit earlier looked like it had just started decaying, but a few hours ago. And when I said start, I mean it's like in the first stages of going from like bloated to sort of slowly beginning to have portions of its eaten away. But you notice that there weren't any flies or anything like that around it, and it wasn't emitting a smell. As you pass this last trophy, despite its serious state of rot, you also don't have any odd, tangy, sweet smells or anything like that.
That's disconcerting.
These trophies need to be set up on like some kind of pathway that we're following, or are they just kind of haphazardly we happen across them?
Yeah, you happen to run across these two. You don't see any others within 60 feet of you, aside from those three.
They facing the same direction or different directions?
All towards the direction that you came from.
Well, this strikes me as warnings.
Mm-hmm.
If it was proper trophy, it would be better tended to on mantelpieces, but this seems more signs of keep out.
Continuing along another... go ahead.
You can give our guide here a little guidance. Let's try to find a safer path.
Oh yeah, I can give guidance. I don't have any bardic inspirations left, but I can give guidance.
We just wake up.
You woke up not too long ago, so your bardic inspiration should be back to...
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
We
I
slept
guess.
in the tree and all that.
Yeah, we slept.
Okay, so I have bardic inspiration back, and
Your
all
health
my
is
spell
also
slots.
back to full, and your spell slots,
That's
yeah, they're all back.
good, because I was pretty low on all those things.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
So,
All right.
would Desh like to try and find a new path, or does he want to continue on the one he's going currently?
Well, the one we're going on currently seems to be gearing up for possible problems. So I'll see if I can't find anything better.
21. Then on top of that, the D8. Okay.
Good.
All right. So with that, you start, heading the party away from this territory without going straight back, still sort of following along the pathway that you need to go to still get closer to your objective. Eventually, as you guys are moving along, you go for maybe about a good 800 feet or so in the forest until you run into another stake, this time with the mantelpiece looking outwards. And it's a group of kobolds. Only there's one body and 8 heads that have been stitched onto the body. And
Boy.
Desh begins to lead you in a pathway that sort of takes you by this particular trophy, and leads you possibly out of the encirclement of stakes and bodies, with whatever warning sign they were there for.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
So, more hours pass. There's the occasional, random moving of a bit of underbrush, or, some of the canopy might move here or there. And, of course, it startles you guys a little bit, but whenever you go to investigate, you find small game and local wildlife is usually the cause as you guys are moving along. And this continues for about 3 hours. Everybody go ahead and make me...
Yet?
Nope, still in dense forest. Make me another round of perception. See, that's more like it, Dash. You just had to get the luck out, Had to shake the old leg off. With that, as you guys are traveling along, eventually you come to what you think initially is the next clearing until you realize, no, it's the edge of the forest. As before you are miles of plains and tall grass. And you can see the occasional, hill here or there, every so often, dotting the landscape. But no signs of any civilization, no lazy smoke trails off in the distance or anything like that. Just the swaying back and forth of tall grass and the occasional tree every couple 100 meters out or so.
We need to get across this as quickly as possible.
Once we don't have to go into the tall grass.
The tall grass itself, it comes up roughly to about where Nash's temples are on his head.
So in theory, if I'm riding Nash, I'm above the grass.
Yeah. Timo, however, not so much.
Oh, Timo. He can just eat his way through.
He can buzzsaw his way through. And neither is Sasha. The two of you will essentially be blind in this journey through the tall grass.
It's okay. We're following the leader.
So, you begin heading through. And as you do, I need Nash to make me another perception check. As Nash takes about 30 feet of movement out. Okay, 16. You notice Nash stops. And he's hovering his right leg as he does. He only gets 30 feet into the tall grass.
I peer down at what he's hovering his leg over.
Now you make me a perception check with advantage.
17.
That was a stealth check. What's your modifier normally for perception?
6, so that would have been 15.
Okay, 15. Looking down, you can see that there is this odd hexagon shape of small metal wires.
Okay. Does it look like it's self-contained, or does it look like it's like multiple tripwires, or...
Could be tripwires.
Okay, I'd have Nash back up a bit carefully.
He does so without incident.
And... Desh would let everyone know that there's looks to be traps of some sort in the grass. And because it might be easier, because I have better perception than Nash does. Because Desh can feel the direction he wants to go with the heart. So Desh would hop down and take points with Nash falling behind him, as Desh is going to be down on the ground for better trap spotting, possibly.
Okay.
And
you begin to slide off of Nash, and as you do, you all hear something off in the distance coming from the tall grass.
Dogs?
And as you hear that sound, there is suddenly about a good 800 feet out, just on the edge of your perception before the horizon crests a hill, you see this large puff of black smoke, followed by a boom.
great, artillery.
And then I would like, you know what? Let's do Enemine Mighty Mo. So, Desh, you're going to be a 1. Sina, you're going to be a 2. Sasha, you're going to be a 3. Okay,
Yay.
Desh. As you look skyward to the sound of this explosion, you can see these small bits of debris falling down, and you watch as an odd shape begins falling in your direction and lines up perfectly with you. And landing on top of Nash is half of a dog leg.
Oh. Okay. So yeah, tripwires, explosives. So cannot be panicked moving through grass. Must be very, very careful. So imagine by now the dog sounds are gone.
Oh yeah, and a few clumps of dirt and silt like kind of fall around you guys into the tall grass.
All right. So Desh is going to take points because this amount of grass is like a huge thing. It's gonna be a big detour if you wanted to completely walk around it, if possible. Oh yeah, this is just a big open clearing,
Looking around, yeah, you saw plains for miles.
just plains of grass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's no going around this, so at least not effectively. So Desh will be on his feet at the front of it, and very carefully will try to scan the pathway to try and get past this grass.
Okay. Is he just using his eyes, or would you like to use the rogue method? If you have the rogue method available to you.
With the rogue method, I'm not sure what you mean by it, but I
A
think it's just
10-foot
gonna be
pole
my...
of any type.
I don't have a 10-foot pole. Where would I stash that? That's like 3 times as big as I am.
You have a bag of holding.
That's the bag of holding person's thing.
I don't have. I could give you one of the poles for one of the tents.
You could also use a spear. The poles for the tents aren't large enough. It's not going to give you the same distance, but it'll be effective.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really got a
Have
spear. Did we pick
don't
up some
have a
spears? Or no, they
Should've.
got swords.
You should have picked up some javelins.
All right, who had the
Trident.
javelins?
We got trident.
Yeah.
Trident would work, I imagine.
The trident would definitely work. Better than a javelin, in fact.
Yeah.
Got reach.
I'll give him a try.
Okay, so taking the
Okay.
trident and using it essentially as a very, very crude, mind poker. Go ahead and make me 3 perception checks with advantage as you make your way out into the tall grass. 20. All right. You avoid the first 2. The second one, or you also avoid the third one, and these are spaced maybe 80 feet apart. You're not sure the distancing, though, when it comes to left and right. But just 80 feet in a straight line each time. You've heard a of the trident hitting a piece of metal, and you retracted it back. When you get to that third one, you hear tinkering. You pull it back slowly. It hasn't gone off yet.
So I have
But you
an
feel like-
detonated explosive on the edge of it.
You feel like if you had rolled just a little lower, that might have gone off.
Lower than a 22?
Oh, that's right. You had
No, 14.
Sorry, I was counting the 14. My bad.
22, I was gonna say.
22, you're
You got-
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at advantage.
Do I still have
all right.
it on the edge of my trident?
Yeah, you would just hear the little tink.
Okay. So,
But that I will go ahead and
Motion.
give that to you. Lower than a 14. 14 is the DC.
okay. So, maneuvering around.
Okay.
Okay, avoid that. Avoid that, Nash. Be very careful to walk in my tiny footsteps.
You just watch as Nash tries to squeeze himself as tiny as he
Yes,
can be.
He's literally 2 sizes different than me, so it's not gonna happen. But just
He's attempting to
guide
stand
every-
on his tippy toes, and he's a little wobbly, but, he's slowly making it.
but just as soon as just keep mine sweeping until hopefully we're out of the grass.
Alright. Keep going. Keep going. Make me another survival check.
Okay.
At this point, you're close to where that hill was where you saw the explosion. 20, wow. With that, you continue along, and you don't hit any mines as you get to the hill. And as you get to the hill, you all come into the forced clearing that has been made by the group of doggos who unfortunately ran into that trip mine. As there is a patch of burnt and leveled out cleared path of some of this patch of grass. And as you look over the hill, as it were, you can see down good, I'd say, good 1,000 feet out from where you are, there is an outcropping of ruins of buildings that look similar to some of the smaller buildings you saw when you were in the Tenu City. Completely in ruins, though. And as you're looking out, everybody perception check.
Oh boy, here we go again. Oh, double clicked 13.
That's fine. Yep. Sasha. Wow. Sasha, you are the only one who catches this. There are 4 hills that surround this complex of ruined buildings. And you could swear there's something off about the ground that you're standing next to. And as you look over, you notice that embedded in your hill, there's just the tiniest raise of ground. And it looks like a lip of concrete is sticking out. And there's... no. There's a rusted hatch in the center of the grass.
Okay, I point out the rusted hatch and check it out to see whether or not there is some sort of opening here.
As you get closer to the rusted hatch, you can see to the right of it, there's... I don't actually know what these lights are called. It's the caged-in light that's like that big. Usually they're orange or yellow or red. But you see one of those next to the hatch. The metal heavily rusted, and the light itself cracked in. And you can see a busted bulb inside. And the lip of the hatch that's sort of seated on the ground is slightly ajar.
Does it look like it's booby trapped?
Make me an investigation check.
Okay.
16. You go looking around it. Doesn't seem booby trapped. Doesn't seem locked.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
take a chance and open it.
Okay. You go to open it and you realize it is immensely heavy. What's your strength score?
My strength is 1.
That's your modifier. Your is
Oh.
1, I believe. Hold on. Let me-
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 12. 12.
Okay. Your total strength is 12. All right. So yeah, you have to struggle against this for a little bit, as you sort of have to put your all into lifting it up. It is very heavy, and as you do, there's these loud pops and crinkles sounds that you hear of like bending and wrenching metal, as well as like rusted metal sort of scraping against itself slowly as you open it. But eventually, you do get it open. You can see that there's a straight shoot, free hanging ring of ladders, or ring ladder, I should say, that goes straight down for about a good 100 or so feet until it levels out to a smooth bit of concrete, and there's a faint bluish glow coming from down there. And maybe about 20 feet into it, there's a sort of a landing that you could get on if you wish to. And there are several old rusted ammo boxes and weapons that are sort of stored up in northwest, east, south, that have kind of just rusted away. And there is a skeleton of a humanoid in rotted away clothing with only a few scraps of fabric left on it, and half there, and by half there I mean it looks like it's been halfway chewed through, helmet.
Okay. Well, guys, it looks like all these booby traps were set up to keep whoever out of the city. Maybe
It's not big enough to be a
to
city. It's more
protect
like the size of a
people.
small town.
Oh well, town to keep to keep whatever out of this town. And looks like they had modern weapons, but it looks like these people have long since died out. So, do you want to keep on going around this thing, or do you want to try to go through it? What do you guys want to do? I mean, either one could be just as dangerous. I mean, we don't know what's in the city or town.
I mean, we don't know what's out there either. Which direction is the hearted?
Imagine through the city.
Mm-hmm. Straight through.
It pulls from the city. The fastest route is to cut through.
I mean, we can either cut through it by going on down this tunnel and marching right on through the city, ignoring half of the booby traps and then coming out of the city and having to go through the other half. Or we can booby trap it all the way through and around. It's up to you guys. What do you want to do?
I say we go through. But I don't care
Good option.
strongly enough to push for it, so I'll go along with whatever. That's my vote.
Yeah, I say through city is fastest.
Okay. So, do you want to go down this tunnel? Will all of our mounts fit, including
That's
Nash?
the tricky part. I mean, the Nash is going to have to squeeze, but the rest of the animals, if you could make a pulley system, might be able to get down there cleanly.
I didn't even think about that.
Keep on going straight. You know, we can either go down here this way and make a pulley system to get them down there, or we can go straight. It's up to you guys. How do you want to do this?
Ugh. Pulley system seems unnecessarily elaborate. I wasn't even thinking about having to bring the mounts down.
Theoretically, the Timo and the horse could just jump. I mean, though it is a pretty far fall.
Yeah, we don't
If
want
someone
any
had
horses
feather
with
fall,
broken
I
legs.
however-
want to risk.
I mean, I have levitate. I can cast that on one thing.
Can you move levitate to other creatures after it's been cast?
No, but I can. No, I can't cast it more than once either.
What are the limitations of levitate, weight-wise, if it has any?
500 pounds.
That's like just on the edge of Nash.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No way.
So Nash is barely able to be picked up by levitate.
So we gotta go.
Yeah. So it's better for us to keep on going through the traps and keep on going through, because getting the mounts down here is just a no-no. It's
I mean,
too much
also
risk for the
there's-
mounts.
Getting them back out, and what if
Right.
there are tight spaces in here? I wasn't even thinking about the mounts.
And this is
Okay,
why so many
so,
horses in D&D die.
Yeah, let's
let's
just keep moving.
let's keep on searching for mines and keep going forward.
Alrighty.
Alright.
Well, as you go ahead and mount back up, retracing your path, in case there are any mines here, you go ahead and get yourself settled back in the saddle, get back on the trail that you were on with Dash's help, and you start heading towards the town. 10 feet, 20 feet, 30, and eventually you get to that 80 where it's like, this is usually the distance where there's a mine. Make me a perception with advantage, Desh.
22.
22. There's no mine here. And that leads you... Make me an intelligence check. Just straight intelligence.
Dash is not a smart
Or
boy.
wisdom. Wisdom will also fit.
Okay, wisdom is much better.
Okay. I will allow it.
13.
There we go. 13. A part of you thinks that perhaps the mines were set by these people to keep things out, but they wouldn't put them, necessarily in direct range of the town. In case if they have small children or anything like that, you wouldn't exactly want to have an incident with a child playing around live mines if they happen to wander outside the boundaries of the town.
Yeah. Alright. Well, not holding my breath, but it is possible we are past mines. I'd say wait a bit longer before making assumption.
Yeah, we'll be careful.
You continue heading on, and as the buildings get closer and closer, you notice fundamentally they're different from the Tenu buildings. The Tenu buildings have sort of a downtown Los Angeles sort of feel to the buildings, look-wise. This is not in the modern sense that we're thinking, but more that we see today, but sort of more in line with much more futuristic. So you can see that there were clearly a set of oddly placed lights here and there that, from your time in the Tenu City might have been LED in origin originally. There are, from the rusted and sometimes open, sometimes closed, sometimes, half stock doors that you run across here and there, automatic doors. One of them is a large dome, a large just white dome that's about 80 feet across, and it sits in the center of town as you're going through. And it has sort of only one way in and one way out, a large corridor, large enough for all of you to stand side by side, including your mounts, and walk down that pathway. And it looks like it's in sort of an airlock setup towards this central thing. But all the buildings except for this dome have various levels of rust on them and heavy damage. The dome itself, completely pristine, completely white, no scuff marks, no signs of birds ever going near it. No rust, nothing. The iron sort of structure that holds it together, in the webbing design that it has going around it, pristine.
Okay.
And
That's
the direction of the heart theoretically would take you straight through it.
Theoretically.
Yeah. I mean, it could be that you just go around it and it would continue onward.
Okay, well,
But the heart is much further out, right? Like towards the mountains, right?
Where you're standing? You're
From
not
where
sure.
we're standing.
You can see the mountains off a good day's travel left from where you are.
Can he tell if it's inside of this building or is it in the mountains?
Make me a nature check.
Me or him?
Him.
okay.
He is the one with the magic compass. 12. I mean, the best way to test something is just to try and walk around the building. And as you begin to go around the building, you can feel that magical tracker within you pulling towards the center of the building. And then when you get to halfway around the building, it suddenly snaps back towards the mountain.
Right. Oh,
to the
it's
mountain it is.
yeah.
And then
So
it pulls towards the tent. Or, sorry, towards the large circular structure. A couple seconds later, back to the mountain.
of like pinging between both of them.
Mm-hmm. And you realize as, Nash sort of naturally shifts around a little bit, when he shifts back a step, it starts heavily pinging between the two. Make me an Arcana check.
I don't know, magic.
11. The DC was 10 here. It could be that the magic is trying to just simply point you in the fastest direction, and right now it can't tell or decide if the fastest direction would be going in there or going to the mountains.
So it's either over land in the mountains, or there's something in the building that could get us there in theory faster.
Maybe.
Could be a broken down one of the
Let's go in
Tennu
the building.
trains.
What the heck? What the heck? Let's go in the building.
Yeah. So you all come back around and make your way to the front airlock entrance, as it were, and you have to get fairly close to it before you watch the two large metal doors begin to slowly creak with a bit of, non-use over you don't know how many years open. And before you see this long hallway that leads to another set of double metal doors. The floor
get off
of this
my map and
hallway
walk
is just the regular
While holding my map.
dirt that you've been walking on since you've entered town.
Okay.
All right. You continue along. Eventually you get up to that next set of doors, and once again it takes you getting very close to them before finally they begin to swing open naturally, or automatically, one might say. And as you watch the doors open, you begin to see these small little structures. And at first they look like cargo containers, until you realize the sheet metal on the outsides, it's smooth on all sides. And printed in black and gold, bold letters, are the letters IDP. And through the eye, there is this weird, blank space that looks like a curve. In the eye of just, negative space that's just the color of the wall texture itself, which is like a sheer white.
Alright, can I look a little closer to try to figure out what that is?
You spent enough time in the Tennu. It's a company logo.
What does the company make? Are these cars? What?
There are no cars.
What is it?
There's just what looks like 6 of these containers in a perfect circle. Well, I should say half circle around the room. The center of the room has a large sheet of metal and a small panel next to it with a couple of boxes that look like they've just been sitting there collecting dust for ages, stacked on top of it. And off to, on both sides of the room, of this circular room, to your right and left, there are what look initially like large generators. However, you notice they're a bit longer than generators normally are, and there's a small gap in the metal in both of them at exactly the same area, and there's something that's slowly turning, a metal piece that's slowly turning within them.
Okay, I'm gonna go check out the panel to see what's on it.
Okay.
Is this
So
some sort of control panel for the boxes?
You go over to it, and you can see it's a very rudimentary cargo panel, and it has a green and red button on it, up and down. a master arm switch, and also a switch that's labeled safety lights.
Guys, take a look at this. Do you think this is some sort of system in order to ship cargo?
It's not until Nash begins stepping on this object, as all of you get closer, that you hear the sort of hollow tong of metal underneath you.
Oh god. So like something broke off, or?
No, it just sounds like the earth is hollow below you.
Okay, so now that we're in here, is like the heart pinging like below us or in a direction, or?
It is pinging. Yeah, it's pinging straight down.
I think
Okay.
this is some sort of system where they put things in these large boxes and ship it somewhere.
You notice all of the
Cinna,
boxes
see
are
if you
strapped
can figure
down,
it
by the
out.
way. Now that you're this close, all of the boxes are strapped down to this large metal plate that you're standing on.
Okay.
Cinna,
Senna, make me a perception check.
do you
Okay, I will take a look.
figure it out?
Okay, 15. Senna, as you go over, you can see everything on the control panels there. You look over the boxes, you look at the straps, and as you go to look back over to the panel, you notice that out of an open window that doesn't really show you much of what's inside, but out of one of the windows on the setup, like you could call them office boxes, there is a single metal pole that you can see in the background with the similar color and shape straps that are on the boxes to your right at this point, inside of that one unit. And it's at this point you all begin to realize this is a cargo elevator.
Okay,
Okay.
this is some sort of cargo elevator. Maybe we can ship ourselves into the mountain.
I mean,
Is there a map anywhere that shows where the cargo goes?
Not where you're standing currently. Currently, you are on the central platform with the control surfaces. You don't see a map here. However, like I said, equally spaced out in the room are 6 different large containers that you assume to be offices at this point. And in one of those offices,
Okay.
you see more safety belts for cargo.
just like loose belts like lying around, or
Yeah, they're like hanging on this large rack that you can see inside
Okay.
the window. They're sort of just hanging there, and that's really all you can see from this vantage point of what's in that unit.
Okay, I'm looking everywhere for not only directions but a map as to
Okay.
where this cargo goes.
Go ahead and make me an investigation check.
yeah, I'll help. I'll look as well.
All right, we'll take advantage with that then. All
Hey.
right.
Hey.
Never mind. I will give you a separate one. I'll be nice. I'll be nice and say Senna can make a separate. Ah, that's more like it.
I went
there
off
we
in a
go.
different direction and
Yeah.
looked somewhere else.
Senna says, "I'll help you with that," and then immediately turns and goes to one of the other units. So Sasha, as you do your investigation, you go over to one of the units, and man, your eyes are just drawn to that spinning thing in that large black generator-like unit, and you start heading that way. And yeah, what you're greeted with is like a small turbine inside of this large black metal box. And there's a control surface there with keypads. It's not lit up or anything, but there's a small green light on the unit. And it's just making this very low sound. It's a whirring sound.
Nothing
And
here.
what languages do you speak?
I speak Common, Halfling, and Sylvan.
Okay. Um, this would not be in a language that you're familiar with. However, you can tell that its base roots are an infernal. However, it is not infernal. But you can see that there's a like clearly a warning sticker from the fact that it has these, bold red letters at the top with a little triangle that you've seen in Two New Cities whenever they try and like warn people, whether it be electric shock or something like that. But there's like a large warning label there printed next to the keypad, and you can't read it.
Anybody read this?
I doubt my celestial language proficiency will allow me to read that.
Do you go over to look at it?
I will go over and
All
take
right.
a look at it. That's
You
the only
go over
language
and
I
take a
speak
look
that
at
she
it?
doesn't.
And as you look down, you know how directions come in two languages. Usually, English and Spanish here in the U.S. This comes in two languages.
Okay.
You can't read the second language, but its base roots are in Celestial, so you get like a third of the message. And the third that you do get is safety, touch, radiation,
Oh, no.
seismic, and then you would probably also get calibration. Those are the words, those are the only words out of that second group of text that you can make out.
Those words have alarmed me. Most specifically, the radiation one. Yep. I've been alarmed by that. So let's not touch the radiation or anything seismic or calibrate anything at all.
And as you're saying that, Senna, you sort of head over to one of the other units and you head to sort of the entry port that looks sort of like a door. And as you get up next to it, it automatically, slowly and creakily opens and slides away. And you can see, yeah, there's a normal office in here, and there's like some old clothes that are heavily covered with dust. There's a computer that clearly isn't functioning anymore, as it's off, and the actual desktop itself, it looks like there's this watery substance down at the bottom of it, so possibly damaged. Other than that, there is a large map that is printed on the left-hand side wall as you're just coming in through the door. To your right-hand side, on the wall, is another like single metal rung that goes from one end of this container to another, with more of those safety belts on it for the cargo elevator. There's one of those safety harness, bright orange and yellow safety harnesses for workers. There's a couple of hard hats in here, all of them white, all of them saying IDP in bold letters on the left hand or right hand side of them. Couple of scraps of paper sort of strewn about over the 4 desks that are in here, in that infernal language, that infernal base root language that you can't make out. And there is, at the far end of the container from where you're standing, what looks like a weapons rack. However, there aren't any modern weapons in it, but there is a large all-metal spear.
Can I get possibly internet reception in here?
No.
Just checking.
Okay, obviously I'm going to put on one of the hard hats just because that's what you do when you see a hard hat, is you put it on and you go like this just to see how well it works.
Okay.
And I will say, Sasha found a map in here. There's also another hard hat.
So
all
I'll
right.
also put on a hard hat and look at the map.
So
Is the
as
map in several languages or?
it is, however, there are pictures. It shows at the top left-hand corner of this large map, there is a rough outline of the town that you're standing in. And it has some scribble there of what you assume to be possibly a name that you can't read. And that's in sort of like a window box picture at the top left of the map. The rest of the map itself is split into 4 sectors. You have gold, blue, red, and green. And the mountain range that you're looking to go to is split between gold and blue. And there are dozens of these white small tunnels that sort of branch out from the center of this map and go in all different directions. And there is, on the map as well, a portion of those tunnels, one of those tunnels, has like a little magnifying circle on it that sort of brings you out to a larger magnifying circle. And within that magnifying circle, you can see that it is sort of, you're not sure what the walls are made out of, but you would guess, seeing as it's modern, some sort of cement large tunnel. And it has a little indicator there for the average size of what you assume to be a human. And the human is like that big, and the tunnel's like this big. So, you know, you could easily fit down there. And there are tracks going through it. These 2 long metal tracks that are going through it. And sort of in a blur, there's this large slab-like metal platform on 8 metal wheels going along the track with piled up cargo on top of it. And that's what's in the magnified picture. Of course, each of the tunnels have names that you can't read. And 4 of them head into the mountains. However, there's one that Senna actually can read. It's in full Celestial, and it says Central Hub. And it is in the center of the mountains. And it is a diagram that you can just barely make out of what looks like a larger facility.
Okay, well, probably our best bet is one of the pathways that looks like it leads into the mountain, assuming that's what I'm picking up on.
Yeah, you have the Central Hub pathway, and you have 3 others that head to different portions of the mountain.
Well, it looks like the central hub is where we want to go.
There's also a long tunnelway that goes straight down from the Central Hub that is not connected to any other tunnel. It just goes straight down and then stops. And you don't know what the scale is on the tunnels.
Is this map like... Is it like inscribed on something, or is it a paper map inside of a frame that we can take out and roll up?
It's a paper map that's loosely tacked onto like those, you know, those wooden, you know, like memory boards with the really
like a
shitty
cork
wood.
board.
Yeah, a cork board. Thank you. Yeah, it's on a very large cork board, and it's been tacked in the corners.
Well, obviously we should take this with us.
Okay, so you go ahead and you untack it and you roll it up.
Yeah,
And it's,
I will roll it
it's roughly about the size of a decent-sized painting. So yeah.
It might come in handy.
Yeah. Okay, now the question is, how do we operate the equipment to get us all down there?
Is there like
How
a
do we get to the
convenient
central hub?
button with a triangle for up and a triangle for down that we can push?
Oh, on the panel, you saw the words up and down.
Oh, okay.
That was written in common. Also, there was caution lights on there, and a master arm switch.
Well, we've got to figure out how to strap ourselves and our mounts in this thing and get to where we need to go.
And also not touch the radiation somehow. I mean, it's an elevator, right? So it goes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So theoretically, we can just stand on it,
Theoretically.
right? I mean, how fast could it go that we would need to be strapped down?
Depends on if
Well, obviously,
I'm not
it
gonna say
goes
anything.
pretty fast. I mean, there's straps for a reason.
Well, we could
straps
try
are
it
not
first.
For no
That,
reason.
or, it could be as fast as terminal velocity, because this thing is old as who knows, and it might just break if we try
That's
to turn
true.
it on.
The panel,
I
by
don't
the
know.
way, is separate from the plate itself, so you could theoretically just push the button here and watch as the elevator goes down to test it out.
I mean, I'm in favor of testing before we possibly risk our
Yep.
lives in a free fall.
Okay.
Yes.
So, who goes over and
Right.
pushes the button?
I'll do it.
Okay, you
I have
go
my hard
over,
hat on. I'll be fine.
and you with your hard hat, you push the down button, and as you push the down button, there's a small little hole on the panel that you didn't notice, and it starts blinking orange at you, but nothing happens.
You said there was like a master switch on the panel as well?
It's a master arm switch, yeah.
like a-
So you go ahead and you flip that up, and
yeah.
as you do, you hear of something unlocking. Do you press down again at that point?
A little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna press
You
it
go
a
ahead
little.
and you press it a little, and you hear this.
Okay,
doesn't
now
move.
I'll press it a little more.
You push it down harder. It still gives you that same.
Okay, is there anything with like a symbol of a lock or anything?
Looking around on the panel, you finally do notice that there is the tiniest symbol that's very heavily faded next to these two small holes, and you could see the hole next to the orange one that's like blinking at this point is full red, and it reads very faintly "Master Arm," and the hole next to the orange one has a little faded, heavily faded electricity bolt on it.
Oh, it doesn't have enough power to work.
It needs electricity.
Okay.
And probably like a
We need to
key
turn
to
on the
activate it.
A key. Okay, what was that
Or the
spinning
generators.
turbine thing?
Okay,
Maybe that has something to do with generating the electricity.
you head over there and you look at it. And looking over it, I mean, there are a group of like these four very thick cables that come out of the side of it and head into the ground immediately. And the turbine's just spinning there. There's a small green light on it, and there's that numerical pad that isn't lit up, and of course there's that warning sticker.
Yeah.
Are there generators nearby? Are the generators on?
You can always try searching your offices.
Yeah, let's go to the next closest office and see if there's like somebody wrote their password
Yeah.
down on their desk or something.
Next investigation check from those of you who go to look.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not good at the little details, but
Oh, dang. Oh, Sasha has saved
Alright.
the day.
So you guys enter into the next one, and as you do, you can see that this unit looks to be a storage unit. There are these two very long shelves on either side of the unit that are just filled with various different tools of all sorts and kinds. And Sasha, as you're going through, you get to the other side of it, and you notice that there is a small wooden desk, sort of like that slanted writing desk style, standing up. There's no chair in front of it. However, it does have a piece of parchment on it. And written in a strange language, it's writing out the instructions of something, and you see there is a diagram of the black boxes that you see with the spinning thing. And you notice that it has a group of 3 different numbers, each of them 4-digit. And there are different little animatics that are on the right-hand side. One of them is a guy sticking his hand onto the turbine and receiving an electrical shock. The other one is a guy pissing on the electrical turbine and is receiving an electric shock. And it just plays out with about 6 or 7 little safety tips of what not to do when playing with the giant generator that you're figuring out. That's what these are at this point. It has one where one of the guys is he doesn't stick his hand in it, but it looks like he's doing maintenance work on it. And he's holding a screwdriver, and he's punctured something, and there's this green fog that's coming out, and within the green fog they have like a little radiation symbol, and that's all that's on that paper. Yeah.
All right, so I call everybody over and say, hey, it looks like this is some sort of guide. Can anybody read this? And
so
I search around in the desk to see if there's anything else.
there's no drawers or anything. It's just like a straight piece of wood. There's a couple of pencils that are sitting up there at different lengths and an eraser. And there are like 2 sheets of paper that look like they have chicken scratch on them, that you can't read because they're in that language.
Okay. Guys?
But yeah, Senna, as you get over there, I mean, you can read the much smaller text that's going along with the larger text to an extent, once again. So you get words like supervisor, you get like contact, supervisor, something something code, something 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 something, shift, something something something, safety, something something something, representative. That's all you get.
Okay.
Gotta be a manual around here somewhere.
We won't be able to read it.
All right.
Maybe it has better
Let's
pictures.
check the next office.
Continue on, and you check the next office. And as you come into the next office, you notice it's another, there's a desk in here. It's a single desk. It takes up like half of this room. And there's like one of those, when you go to a bar and they have that thing that they lift up to get behind the bar. It has one of those in order to get behind the desk. There's a single large rolling chair that looks like you can lean back in. And there are 6 monitors laid out for the person sitting in the chair to watch. And there is one large desktop sort of sitting underneath the desk that takes up like half of the underside of the desk. And it's got all sorts of wires and things going out of it. It doesn't appear to be on. There's no sound of power or anything like that.
I look for a switch to turn it on.
You look for a switch, and quickly enough, you do find the switch as it goes ding ding, and you watch as a blue light comes on the desktop, and it starts whirling up, and all these fans start going inside, and it gets really loud as it goes wah for a moment until finally calming down, and you all watch as the logo starts spinning on the screens. And eventually it goes blue, and then it goes white, and then it goes gray. And as it goes gray, it comes up with this beautiful image of somewhere in a countryside that you don't recognize. And it's got the a time on there, and it currently says that it is 3:15 in the afternoon. The date is all screwed up because the date just has a bunch of X's where the date should be. And there's a thing asking for a password in common. And it's got a little blinking indicator that somebody needs to type in a password.
Do I see anything anywhere that would indicate what the password would be?
Investigation check.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
You find pens, you find pencils, you find erasers, you find sticky notepads, you find a group of journals that are all written in a language you don't understand. No numbers in them, however, and you find what looks like some kind of book for dummies. You're not sure because the text is faded away on the cover. Anybody else want to make that investigation check?
Sure.
And try.
All right, Senna. All right, Senna. As you all begin to search the office, and Senna is coming up empty-handed along with Desh. Sasha, you lift up the small white keyboard that's sitting there on the desk, and underneath is a yellow sticky note that says, "In common, if you lose password, type in QWERTY."
All right.
So you go ahead and quickly type in QWERTY and hit enter, and ding, it lets you in. There's a little mail icon that pops up and says you've missed 10,000 messages.
Oh, lordy.
There's a bell icon that has 6 little dots that indicates that he's also missed 6 different events. The calendar immediately starts saying that whoever owned this desktop has missed events on their calendar. There's a small work or notepad symbol up there on the desktop. Internet Explorer. And what looks like Minesweeper, the little Windows game.
Okay, so I not know this computer thing. This is something you all practiced at the New City.
Yeah, well, it's time to research to find out as much as we can about this place and also about the computer system. This whole pulley system in this building. So, we do another investigation.
Yeah, you can try.
Okay.
What is your method of investigation?
I open up Internet Explorer.
Okay, you open up Internet
That's what
Explorer.
I'm familiar with the phone.
Yeah, you open up Internet Explorer. Unfortunately, you do not have Wi-Fi. So you get a no Wi-Fi signal with a little dinosaur in the little game where if you move the arrows and press the spacebar, he jumps.
Great. Okay, so we don't have an internet signal. So the next thing I look for is files and folders on the computer, anything that would explain anything.
All right, you go to the Windows
Any
Explorer.
files and folders on the computer.
Yep, you go to the Windows Explorer and you can see a multitude of various different files, many of them having this small little lock symbol on it. However, one of them is just titled Idiot Proof. And it's just
Okay, that's
unlocked.
where I go.
Yeah, you click on Idiot Proof and it brings up 2 notes. One says codes, the other one says mission of the day.
Okay, what does it say?
One notepad file says codes, the other one says mission of the day.
Okay, I write down all the codes.
Okay, so you click on
The
codes,
too.
and there are roughly about 800 4-digit codes. And there looks to be a filing system. Go ahead and make me a investigation check.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
You don't know. You just
I
see
don't
numbers.
know. I
It's
show
a
it to
wall
them.
of numbers.
I show it to them.
Cinna and
Can you
Desh.
figure out what this is?
Good try.
All right, Cinna. Luckily, you hit the DC of 10. Wasn't that hard. So every week, the code changes, unless it's an odd month, and then it has a different set of codes. And you look through Cinna, and eventually, looking at the calendar, looking at the notepad, you figure out the code's either 0477 or it's 0494.
okay.
All right. That is
Alright,
what's in the
so-
codes.
What's the other folder?
Mission of the day. In Mission of the day, it simply says, get Jerry to get off his ass and finish up with the project in the central hub.
Okay, is there a manual in here that explains how to use the elevator? Can I do a general search in the computer looking?
Okay, you
for
go
it?
back to the general, all the various different folders, and you go ahead and do a search, and you just search the word manual.
Yeah.
Okay. You get 83 hits. All various different documents with the word manual in them.
Yeah, but it should list what the document said. Like
You can't
manual
read the
for
language.
This, manual for that.
You
Manual.
just know that the word manual is highlighted.
Well, I typed in manual obviously in common.
Yes, you
so-
did. And it highlighted it in that language. You keep scrolling through, scrolling through, scrolling through. You do find one that's in common.
Alright, what does it say?
Workplace manual.
Workplace manual? That's
Mhm,
it?
that's all it says. It's a PDF.
And that's the only one in common.
That's the only one in common.
I open it.
Okay, you double click on it and you get a thing where it begins to open, and then Adobe asks you for a password.
Oh. Okay, we try the QWERTY.
Okay, you try what?
The QWERTY.
Okay, you try QWERTY. Hit enter. No.
Try password.
Password.
You type in password, hit enter. The document unlocks.
Ah,
And it's
I'll
separated.
be damned.
Yeah, it's separated into how to use the elevator, how to properly clean the office units, and how to work the generator.
Alright, let's read how to use the elevator and how to work the generator.
Okay, the elevator, they literally just show you the panel, and then they say in common what each of the words on the panel mean. The panel's already written in common. And they say don't put over 75 tons on the elevator at one time. You go to the generator portion next, and it says to enter in your company code, whatever it is for that week. And once you hit enter, type in the power value And once you hit enter again, and the power value is literally like 0 through 4. Once you pick your power value, it will then work up to that power level and then sustain that power level until you designate otherwise.
What's the power value?
The power value is how much power it's putting out.
All right. Is there a printer that's working?
I'm
You
sure
look
the ink is
around
all
in the
dried up.
office, and there's a printer.
Considering I can't print if it's been a week since I printed something because the ink is all dried up.
Is it on?
Currently no.
I turn the printer on and see if I can print both of the documents out.
Okay, you turn the printer on. It comes up with a little logo. It eventually gets to the main screen, and just as you're about to turn away from it, it says low ink levels.
We
Is
can't
the
win.
printer on a cabinet that might have
Possibly,
a drawer
yeah.
with
There
extra
are
ink?
two wooden doors underneath.
Okay, let's look.
You go open up one of the doors. There is luckily a single like box of ink in there.
Excellent.
Only in
Excellent.
black
Let's
and
refill
black
that.
though. Not
That's
in, not in
fine.
the other
We
colors.
don't need. We
That's
don't need
fine.
pretty.
You
That's
say
fine.
that, but now we print it out. It's like, okay, remember to hit the blue switch with like it's meant to be the colored switch highlighted.
All right, so you go ahead and you follow the tedious directions to go ahead and get the ink switched out, and then it wants to bullshit you halfway through it and say that you have to switch out the colors, so you just take the color cartridges out and then put them back in, and finally the system is like, all right, you've replaced all the colors, and it lets it go through, and you print out the pages. That takes you 45 minutes.
Okay, great.
Fine, but at least we have physical copies that we can go back to. All right, so we have now the manual on how to work the elevator, and we have manual on what to do for the electricity so that we can get the generators moving.
You also print out the codes.
Is there anything else in this? And I printed out the current codes.
All
Is
right.
there anything else in this computer that I can use?
Several files, all of them locked.
No, in common.
In common, you leave your search and you start scrolling through the various different folders, and eventually you run across on like the 200th folder, workplace information, and it currently has an unlocked symbol. And if you go and you click on that, it takes you right back to where you saw that PDF, but there's like different pictures of various different employees. And you click on one, and one of the pictures is just a human male, maybe in his early 50s, business casual, hard hat on, smiling, standing in front of the cargo elevator, while there is a unconscious, large mound of flesh behind him. And you know it's some sort of creature, you just can't tell in the low-res picture.
Is there any information?
Nope, it's
Besides
just
the
photos in that PDF.
I open the PDF.
Okay, you open the PDF, you go right back to the PDF that had like the elevator generator and cleaning the units. It's the exact same PDF you were at earlier when you did the search.
Okay. All right. Guys, any ideas? Anything else we can get out of this computer?
I'm not sure. So
I don't know. I don't know.
Right,
I think we've gotten what we really needed.
okay. All right, so I guess we need to head for the generator first and put in what we need for it to generate the correct amount of energy. And then we can go over to the panel and work the panel according to these directions. And that should get us to our the place that we want to go to in the middle, the main hub, right?
I suppose.
All right, so you go on over, you get out of this unit, you go over to the generator, and you type in the first code. It does, in fact, enter. And it brings up the power levels, and it currently indicates that you are on power level 1.
Okay, so should we give it maximum power or in between? What do you think?
I don't think there could be any harm in giving it maximum power. I mean, that doesn't make things like work. Like the elevator's not going to go faster just because it has more power, right? I don't know how this stuff works.
Put this over it.
Okay, so I give it maximum power.
Okay, you give it maximum power, not maximum powder, maximum power, and immediately from behind all of you as you finish typing in or pressing number 4, you just hear, whoom! You look back, there's just a black hole where the elevator once was, and the panel.
Oh. Maybe it does go faster the more power you give it.
All right, so I bring it down to the medium in between level.
Okay,
How about
you
the
bring it
1?
down.
How about we give it to the 1?
You were already
Now,
on 1.
The 1 was where we were,
Ooh,
and it did.
I thought we were on
It
0.
was stuck. 1 was where
Okay.
we were.
All right, so you go 2 or 3.
So we go to 2.
Okay, you go to 2 and you hear this screeching. You hear a screeching sound coming from the elevator. Far down there. Does anyone care to look in the hole?
I'll go very carefully look
Okay,
in the hole.
You carefully approach the
I
hole.
have a hard hat on. I'm fine.
Yep.
Nothing can hurt me.
And as you look over the edge, you can see that in a circle, every 20 feet is a ring of lights, white lights. And it goes down for about 2,000 feet already.
Oh, great.
It's not moving.
So
It's not coming back up?
Nope. It's just sitting there.
Okay, what if we give it a 3?
okay, we'll give it a 3.
You move it over to 3, and then as you're watching, it just starts dropping again. And eventually, when it gets to about the 3,000 feet mark, you lose sight of it. A minute goes by. 2 minutes go by. 3 minutes go by. 3.5 minutes go
can
by
I
before
not,
you
like,
finally hear
Hit the up.
ka-king, and the green light goes on the panel again, and the orange light is no longer there on the panel.
So at 3, it just
At 3.5
dropped.
minutes, it finally sounds like it clicked into something.
I don't like any of this. I don't want to plummet to my death
Okay,
on
so
some
you're gonna bring it back up.
metal platform. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you go ahead and you go over to the panel, and you hit the up button, and there's this large whoosh of air that comes from the central hole until 3 minutes 45 seconds later, it just suddenly pops up and then stops suddenly. Cargo's still there.
Terrible design. Like, why would they make it go so fast? I get that it takes a long time, but
I'm
like,
imagining also they don't plan people to ride it.
how do the people get up and down?
Probably have people at the other end meant to live there.
Like, so those people just
Well,
can never come out?
obviously, that's what the harnesses are for. You know,
But we can't. How we can't put the
to make
animals
sure
in the
that everything
harnesses.
stays on there safely. Yeah, we can. Can't we?
I mean, aren't they people-sized? I assume they're not like desk-sized harnesses hanging around in the offices.
Do you want to get? You haven't gone in that particular
Nash.
office yet. Well,
Nash-sized harnesses.
the one office that you did go into were box-sized. But if you want to go into the original office that you saw, as you open up that door and look in there and you look at the rack, it's not actually a metal rack that's going through the room. There's actually like a entire large setup here where it's a row of 6 seats on either side, and there are 3 harness straps that go around the row of seats that look like they would clamp into something.
It's a roller coaster.
Basically.
Oh, Lord.
I looked through all the other offices to see what's there.
Okay, you go through the office that has a bunch of cameras and a computer that is still working.
Okay, I can't hear you. I don't know what happened, but I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Probably refreshing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you now. All right, I can hear you and I can see you.
Yeah, my Discord was lagging out for some reason. All right, so yeah, you go into one of the units, and it looks to be a security office. It's got various different monitors that are hooked up to various different security cameras, and the computer is on. There's a single rolly chair, not as comfortable as the one you saw in the other room.
What's on the cameras? What's the feed? What is it showing?
One shows a large tunnel with tracks. Another shows the central room that your friends and mounts are standing in. And then the rest just show the various different cubicles. So, except for this one. You see the one with tools, you see the large office, you see the original office that had the map in there. You can see one of the units looks to be a equipment locker. Not in the sense of tools, but like various different metal contraptions that look like they might hook onto the elevator. Including a couple of cages that would definitely fit, both the goat and the horse, but certainly not Nash. However, in that room as well are large enough straps to physically strap him to the elevator.
Okay.
Besides that, there's another room that has what looks like a laboratory setup. There's beakers and burners and refrigerators and all sorts of fun stuff in that room that looks sciencey. There is another room that has a hydroponics. And then last but not least is this room, which isn't shown on the cameras.
Okay, what's in the hydroponic?
Dead
0.
vegetables, it looks like.
Dead vegetables. Okay. Alright, alright, so I show everybody this room and get everything together so that we can get our mounts in a crate and get them locked in and get Nash strapped in safely and get ourselves strapped in. Now the question becomes, how do we push the button and all be on it?
Mage hand?
That'll
That's a
work.
good idea.
Okay. You go ahead and you take the time to get the roller coaster seats out, strap them in. They're very heavy, so you have to use a bit of assistance from Nash. But you get that clicked into the elevator, strapped down properly. You then go and, I assume, get the 2 cages for Timo and the horse. Get those strapped in and clicked in. Get them loaded up in them. And then take several straps, I'd say maybe about 6, to fully strap down Nash so he's tight and secure. And then, Senna, if you would do the honors of casting Mage Hand to click the button. Okay. As the party plummets into flashing lights and darkness
Oh, God.
for 3.5 minutes, that is where we're going to end our episode. We will see you guys next time on the Black Waves.
Oh my god.
Thank you all so much for being
No,
here.
my
We
God.
greatly
Oh,
appreciate
my
you.
God.
And we will see you guys next time. Adios!
Bye.